Are we on? Awesome. We're on.
Oh, okay.
Dave, lovely
Yes,
to
Steve.
see you back here
Yeah.
in Brunswick,
Yeah.
in the shed.
Thank you
Brilliant.
very. Oh, it's great to be back here after 40 odd years, Steve. And
40
yeah,
40 odd years.
Yeah. Hard to believe, isn't it?
1982.
Yeah. Hard to believe.
The aluminium monocoque.
Yeah.
You remember coming here and
Yeah.
deciding it?
Oh, I just can't quite remember the first discussion. The way I remember it was, I came to speak to you, and you asked me what I wanted, and asked me a lot of questions.
Yes.
And then I told you what I could tell you, and then you said, right, let me think about it. You'd never committed. You thought about it for, I think, maybe a week or something
Yes,
like that.
Yeah.
And I think you came back to me, or we got together, or we were speaking on the phone, and you said, listen, if you're prepared to go the monocoque way, I'm prepared to do it.
That's exactly right.
Is that what happened?
Exactly right.
Yeah. And I was quite prepared to go the monocoque way. During that time, I was finding out more about you, because I didn't know that much.
No.
And learning more about monocoque, how the system,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's the way I remember it, Steve, how we got together.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and it was just such a joyous time working with you.
Oh, come on, Dave.
You gave me, you kept
Vice
inspiring.
versa. Vice versa. It was great fun.
You kept inspiring confidence in me,
Yeah.
in the bike, and I thought, sounds great.
When we built it, we actually got it going. You were here at that time when we finally put the last bits and pieces. I had the vice grips holding a few bits and pieces.
Right.
And you said, I've got to try it. And I said, I've only got vice grips on holding this bit and this bit.
Yeah.
And you said, oh, come on, I'll just take it up the road. Yeah. Well, you took it out, we bumper started it.
Right.
And you took off. And we could hear the bike because it had a racing exhaust on it. And we were listening. And you came back with the biggest grin. I thought, we've made it.
Yeah, okay.
And then, so that was that. But I think Steve Dunham was with us at the time. We discussed a test run at Manfield.
Right.
And
right.
that's how it came up.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we went down to Manfield and tested it, and made a few adjustments. Things were looking better all the time.
Yes,
yeah,
but it was only a few adjustments, wasn't it?
No, it was very little, very little.
And then off you went to Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the monocoque was in bits.
Yeah.
I think you took the chassis on the plane somehow. I can't remember how it happened.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how we transported it, but it might have been in some pieces, yes.
Yeah, and Rod Coleman sourced a motor from Pops Yoshimura in America.
That's right.
And they shipped that over to you.
Yeah.
So somehow you put that bike together, never having put it together before, in the back of a van, I should imagine, because there was very little workshop space there, and raced it.
Yeah.
And,
No,
and it worked.
it worked, Steve, yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
And it was such a joy to sit on the bike,
Well,
I
you
sort of
designed it that way. You said a bit more here and a bit more there. That you don't remember, but
the way the bike was sculptured, you could just sit in it and just feel part of the bike.
Yeah.
Like you could get all the feedback
Absolutely.
that the bike gave you. And yeah.
Hey, Dave, I must tell you this. I've got to tell you this. We went back to England in the 80s or 90s.
Right.
And I met an old apprentice friend of mine, Dave Ems. And we were talking racing. And he said, I watched a Kiwi doing a race at Silverstone.
Right.
I said, did you really? He said, yes, Dave Hiscock.
Yeah.
He was racing a factory Suzuki, a big aluminium thing.
Yeah.
I said, Dave, we built that at home. And he said, no, you didn't. He said, it was the best race he'd seen. He was a keen motorcycle spectator.
Right.
He said, it's the best race. I think you got a second or something, Silverstone, or something happened in the race.
Yes, the bike broke down, the ignition broke down.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
Is that what happened?
Yes, but yes, I'm quite convinced that I would have won that race.
Yeah.
I was right up the front there and doing it easy, and I always thought, I've got this one, I've got it. And then the ignition broke down. It was an ignition that Suzuki GB had given me a few days before.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
That's
But he
what
was
happened.
saying it was the most exciting race he'd ever seen.
It was.
To that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, there was about 5 of us dicing for the lead.
And they were all factory riders.
They were factory Hondas and Suzukis, and I just felt so comfortable. The bike was so good round Silverstone.
Yeah.
It was so good on those fast corners. It was just so good. It just sat there like it was on rails.
Yeah.
And I thought, some of those corners, I just knew that I could go round the outside of them, you know.
Well, man, fantastic.
Yeah. But
Fantastic.
anyway, you know, disappointments also, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But
But what an epic, putting the bike together, getting out there and doing it, and from a blooming van.
yeah.
Pretty tough, isn't it?
Yeah. The one thing about you, Steve, always in the back of the mind, I think you were thinking about like the Kevlar bike.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I'd never realised that. You know,
No, when you came back, you were pretty close to a factory ride at the
know.
time.
Yeah.
And when Barry took the ride, which was, you know, British rider, British bikes and all that. But, when you came, we had a big discussion about it, and you said we need something. I wouldn't mind getting another crack at the championship.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we really ought to do something
Yeah.
to get people to see you. Let's make a plastic bike.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And that's how it happened, really.
Yeah. I think I may have, you know, probably got that works right if it wasn't for, you know, there was a lot of problems over there in England with riders coming over like Graham Crosby and Wayne Gardner and guys that had just arrived before me that had taken the works bike, so there was a big backlash to that. So I think that was the main reason, especially when I'd come out from England. I won the Swan Series, and there was a lot of good riders in that.
Absolutely.
And I think that just really sealed it for me to get the ride. But I think with this big backlash from the public about, you know, not giving the British riders a go.
But it was, so really the plastic was a shot at creating something different. So that's what I was thinking, so they could see you and your riding. And then what happened was we built this thing, this prototype, off my own back, and built it up, and said, Dave, we've got a plastic bike here. What do you say? Do you want to have a ride? And you took this is the one that you test rode at Manfield.
Right.
And you had the works front end on.
Yep.
And you had your works motor.
Yep.
And we got to Manfield.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on the start-finish line, and you came round a couple of times, and then all of a sudden you put the spurt on.
Right. Yeah.
You wouldn't know about this, but I was standing alongside 2 guys from Honda,
Right.
and they had the stopwatches on.
Right.
And I said, oh, what did he do in that lap?
Yeah.
Oh, they wouldn't talk to me.
Yeah.
And then he did another lap.
Yeah.
And they said, my God, they were talking to each other.
Yeah.
And I said, what was the time? And they wouldn't tell me.
Yeah.
But when you came in, the discs were blue.
Right.
You were really going for it.
Yeah.
And that was this thing here.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Can you
And
believe
from
it?
there on, we got in touch with Rod Coleman, and he said, if you think it'll work, put a bike together for Dave.
He was tremendous like that. You
Wasn't
know?
he super?
Oh, yeah, it was so good.
But then you went to South Africa,
Yeah.
And we sent the plastic chassis over to you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We set the motor, and how did you put all that lot together? You'd never put it together before.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
You must have been.
Yeah.
Where does this bit
Yeah.
go? I can imagine it.
Yeah. And then I took it to Assen, and unfortunately I crashed in Assen.
Yes.
I, tried to learn the circuit too quickly,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it wasn't an easy circuit to learn. It was a very narrow circuit, and I did this knee in, and which, was a problem. It was a problem for me from that day on.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
knee. But anyway, no, it was great, Steve, to think back in those times, and
Well,
yeah,
you had a good
No,
ride around the
I-
Isle of Man. You did
Yeah,
the TT on it.
yeah.
Was it
No.
number? Were you number one?
Yes, I was. I
You were
think
number
yeah.
one on the TT.
Yeah, I was.
remember.
That had that number. No, I'm so grateful for you, Steve,
Oh.
to give me that opportunity. Especially on the aluminium bike to take it over there. It was
Dave,
so special.
If it hadn't
And
been
the
for
bike,
you,
bike was so special, and I'm just so grateful that you did it for me. Because,
well, it's the ditto, but it's the other way around. You did it for me. Let's put it this way:
Yeah.
without your riding,
Yeah.
we would be just these were also rans.
Oh, no, I don't think so, Steve. I don't think so. Anyway,
How is it going, guys?
It was fantastic.
Was it all right?